Welcome back, everyone, to the punkrockhorrorpodcast. I'm Matt.
I'm Cody.
And today, we are rejoined by the one and only Eryn, Mad Pooper, Lynchwinch, McGarry.
Oh, we'll need to add a new name to my name today.
Soon, like, the entire episode is just going to be like, yeah. Like, soon the entire episode is just going to be us trying to say Aaron's long name now.
I know, right? We're just gonna keep doing it every time. But today we are also here to remind you that Eminem also needs to diss us.
He can diss me by sitting on my face.
It's all about the taint. It's all about that taint.
I don't know why, that was just really funny. Just like, I hear so many gross dudes like look at women and be like, God, I want her to sit on my face, but I've never heard a chick go, God, I want Eminem to sit on my face.
Just fuck my mouth, it's fine.
While he raps Rap God.
I mean,
can he do it in tempo?
M was hot. Oh, I don't know if I want it in tempo.
And then you have to also rap Rap God as well.
The entire time we'll just sound like a turkey.
God, I hope my coworkers never ever listen to this.
I thought they already did.
The cool one.
You
did.
mentioned one.
The really cool girl.
I don't
did.
remember her. Does she still listen to us?
I don't know.
You better be listening to us. You're gonna break our hearts if you're not. We're putting pressure on you right now. What's her name? Can you give her?
Callie.
Callie or Gally?
Callie.
Callie.
Gally. Who the fuck is named Gally?
Look, Callie, I know I just called you Gally, but let's forget about the past. But you need to be listening to us all the time. We're the best podcast in the entire world, right, Cody?
Yes.
Thank you, Cody. See, you use it.
I second that.
Thank you. So you need to be
it's Thursday. I already said yes. Okay.
Look, I know this is awkward.
Just God.
I don't mean to put you on the public like this, but I'm just saying, like we're relying on you. Oh my God! So how is it going, everyone?
Not bad. Had a kind of emotional day, but it was like for a good reason. I finally got to see my dad after a really long time. So he came up for a surprise visit and met Dev and Audrey.
Yeah.
So that was really cool.
Sorry,
I
remember the shower thought we were going to bring up today. So we've started doing this new thing called shower thoughts.
Oh.
Things that we think about in the shower that make no sense that we really want to talk about. Do you want to share how you've been lately, and then we can jump into shower thoughts?
Oh, I'm an ass hair away from drinking 2 bottles of wine and watching TV with my cats instead of going out tonight, but...
I mean, there's worse things you could do.
I do that almost every week. With my one cat, as she berates me all night.
She's just like...
I miss my kitties. I haven't seen them in an hour.
Yeah, that's a very good sign.
Maybe.
I don't miss mine. She's an asshole.
So yeah, the shower thought...
I love her, but she's an asshole.
So y'all think in the shower? I just twerk.
Yeah, we think.
I'd be too afraid.
I mean,
So Cody brought up that last episode.
Yeah.
We wanted to talk about his shower thought is where do guinea pigs and hamsters come from?
Yeah, where are they in the wild? You don't ever see or hear about a guinea pig in the wild.
So because you got snakes that are in the wild.
You've got the giant guinea pigs.
There's giant guinea
What?
pigs?
I forget what they're... You guys, you don't know about the giant guinea pigs?
What are you talking about?
Hold on.
Oh my God.
Keep the shower thoughts going.
As you look it up for the podcast that no one could see what you're doing.
Well, I'm going to show you guys.
I'm just saying.
Google giant guinea pigs,
You're not talking about
guys.
a capybara, are you?
Oh, yeah,
A capybara? That's not a guinea pig.
Yeah, no. That's a mythical creature from Game of Thrones.
Oh, wait, no. Giant guinea pig.
There's giant.
No.
Well, now you're just looking up a pet guinea pig that's giant.
No,
Yeah,
they're wild.
That's
A
not
capybara.
That's a
That's
capybara.
not a guinea
It's
pig.
a fucking guinea pig.
It's
No,
not
it's
a
not a
guinea
guinea
pig.
pig.
Someone's going to let us know if it's a guinea pig or not.
It's a large rodent of the hydro...
No, I just want to know, these tiny little hamsters and guinea pigs, where the fuck do you see in the wild? And I want to know
Because they would have had to
in
been
the wild.
domesticated at some point.
I bet they were, bred.
Because, I want to see...
ahead.
I know in Hispanic culture, because when I was taking Spanish class, we had to make this menu that had guinea pig on the menu.
Aw.
Yeah, they eat guinea pigs. I guess it's deep-fried luxury type thing.
Jesus.
But, I just, I remember seeing that on the menu.
The cook's name is Jesus.
And I was just like, where the fuck do guinea pigs actually come from? Because, there's wild dogs there in the wild cats in the wild, all that kind of stuff. Who the hell, saw this tiny little ball of fluff and was like, pet?
I more so like to think they came from Ireland. just because of like the orange fur.
They're not all orange.
Like maybe it was like during the Great Potato Famine, and like one like person picked up a guinea pig thinking it was a potato, and be like, oh.
Yeah, he was about to bite it. He's like, squeak, squeak, squeak.
You're on a
You are not the first person to wonder this. Where do GU?
It's just like, where do guinea pigs come from?
South America.
We're asking the important...
2000 BC it was domesticated.
Fucking...
Jesus Christ.
Wait, are you telling me in 2000 BC, before Christ, some, like, little brat probably got on his parents and like, I can't speak like very ancient South, whatever the dialect was back then. So just roll with me. But like, Mom, Dad, I want a dog. They can't get you, dog. They eat everyone. I want a cat. They claw eyes out with like we can't do it. How about that small thing? Just like it had like fangs. Like
we're actually not far off. It says they were originally kept for food, but some may have become family pets for children.
Oh my god.
So, you're pretty on point, sir.
Yes! Guess that too.
Can I keep that as a pet? That's dinner. But I love him. His name is Fluffy.
I want to come him and scream him.
Since I named it, you can't kill it. God damn it. Why is this a thing?
And I named that one too, and then he had two, and that's how we have like millions of like guinea pigs now, probably. We just figured out where guinea pigs came from.
Yeah.
Punk Rock Horror Podcast, where we're here to talk about horror and give you useless pieces of information. But you could bring it up during a date, though, and be like, I know what turtle humping sounds like, and where guinea pigs come from.
Still would be better than the dates I go on.
There you go. Hey, you do it. All right. If anyone out there...
I want to hack you to death.
I love you. If any of you use any of those pickup lines and it works for you, make sure you give us a shout out.
Please let me know.
Alright, so before we jump into today's episode, one thing I did want to mention is that yesterday I had a really awesome opportunity to sit with another podcaster here in Colorado. His name is Carson from Conspiracy Theater Podcast, and I just wanted to talk about it really quick and say like how awesome it was to sit down and talk with him, and like he really humbled me and you because he's like, I would really love to like sit down and talk with you guys and get to know you guys, and like it was just really nice to do that because that was kind of like our first unofficial like
fanboy.
Yeah, fanboy, sit down with a listener. He did come in with like his name carved on my shirt and on his shirt. Yeah, he came in and carved his name on my shirt. He's like, I love you.
Don't forget me.
But no, he's got this really great podcast called Conspiracy Theater Podcast, and it's probably one of the very few conspiracy podcasts I'd listen to because it's not straight up like Alex Jones or kind of like conspiracy. Like they literally make up conspiracy theories on the fly. And it's actually pretty funny and pretty creative because they'll make the one episode I listened to that was called like the Gay Agenda, and so like they on the fly they made up a theory about like where rainbows come from and like the conspiracy behind that, and it's like it's all like satire, but it's really fucking funny and they have so much fun with it. So listeners, please go check out Conspiracy Theater Podcast. I know they're on iTunes. I haven't seen where else they're on though. I want to say Google Play and Spotify, but I could be mistaken. But hit them up on Twitter as well. So, going forward, we are here today to talk about evil dolls in horror movies.
Ooh.
Get some.
I like how you didn't join in the ooh. Like
You're just like
you're part of Code 3 Paranormal, and we're doing oohs, and you're just like
meh.
You're still thinking about Eminem sitting on your face.
Yeah.
Alright, so a haunted doll is a handmade or manufactured doll or stuffed animal that is reported to be cursed or possessed in some way. The earliest report of a haunted doll goes back to ancient Egypt, where the enemies of Ramses III attempted to use wax images of his likings to bring about his death. The dolls used in this ritual were said to be living and would curse anyone who bore their resemblance. The ancient Egyptian puppet, the figgy, and voodoo dolls are often said to be cursed because of their long history of being used to place curses on other people and their association with the occult. So,
Voodoo dolls,
do you want me to stop there? Do we
basically.
want to talk about that, or do you want me to go on to the next paragraph, everyone?
Oh, I just like saying puppet.
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 Go on.
Go on.
Go on.
Good
Go on,
evening,
puppet.
Come on, puppet.
Oh, I weed myself.
Oh, doggone, I got and pissed myself.
Me too.
Puppets have historically been used to place curses on other members of a community for religious or traditional purposes. Some of the earliest...
You doing right there, Eryn? You look like you're struggling with that lollipop.
with that lollipop-it.
Just think about Eminem.
You know, if he ever actually listens to us this episode, he's like, God fucking damn it.
If he disses us, that's like a sign that we've made it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like those faggy ass hardcore podcast guys. That's right, we're the faggy ass ones that he mentioned. Go us. High fives, everybody. So puppets have historically been used to place curses on other members of a community for religious or traditional purposes. Some of the earliest effigies were used by African, Native American, and European cultures. The European puppet has its roots in early Germanic and Scandinavian tribes, which used them for ceremonial purposes. Modern-day Wiccans have adapted this practice for their own uses. Most Wiccans use a puppet as a symbolic representation of a person. So, let's talk there, because I can already tell, like, you have some stuff you want to throw in.
I mean, I'm sure there are, like, different sects of Wiccan and pagan and stuff, but the whole... And voodoo. I know nothing about voodoo. That's not my cup of tea.
Right.
But the whole witches placing curses and sticking needles in the dolls and all that stuff, I'm like,
Well, I mean, do you want to touch... So, because we're talking about, like, why people are scared of, like, evil dolls and how it got started and whatnot.
What I think nowadays that's played up is that, and again... It gives us witches a bad name, like,
right.
We're out there, like...
And that's what I was going to say, because you mentioned on the podcast before that is what you follow in your beliefs. Mm-hmm. And so what I was going to say is, like, have you actually seen stuff of that nature, puppets or figgies being used? Or is that just... I mean, to be fair, I got all this info from Wikipedia.
Effigies.
So that's
what I was like, I wanted to say something about it.
What did I say?
Effigies?
Did I say figgies?
Yes.
Now I'm thinking of, like...
What were you supposed to be saying?
Is it
effigies?
Oh.
It's pronounced effigies.
We've been talking about a fucking cookie this entire time.
Yeah.
God, my fat ass can't get in check.
It's pronounced effigies and you're saying a figgy.
A figgy pudding.
Yeah, I was like...
I wondered, but I didn't really think much of it. I was like, he knows how to read. It's fine.
You should have totally called me on it.
So I was like... A figgy? What the fuck are you talking about? It's not a fig noon, it's a pig noon.
Oh wow.
Effigies.
Effigies.
Oh, that just made my day.
Okay, so Eryn, have you seen effigies?
Personally, in my practices, I mostly am a solitary witch, but I have worked with other witches before, and my godmother, and, like, I have personally not seen one. It doesn't mean they're not out there and people don't use them, but I feel like it's very stigmatized in, like, movies and,
right.
like, even, like, True Blood and things like that. Like, they make the witches look so... using the dolls, and that always drives me nuts.
Yeah.
I'm like, not all witches are fucking sticking needles in a doll, and...
She probably really likes Suspiria, then.
I haven't seen Suspiria.
What?
I know, it's
They're
on my
coming out
list.
with the remake.
Yeah.
So,
You
I
need to
don't
see
know.
it.
It's been getting some pretty good praise.
Really?
But going
They
back
changed
to
the story enough, is what they're saying. Like, they kind of make it their own, but they still keep, like, the heart.
yeah,
of the
because the
original.
first one is like we actually did a review of it. You
Yeah,
can
I
check
did.
it out. But
That movie messed me up.
I think I chose not to listen to that one because I want to see it.
oh, okay.
Good, because there's I do a lot of spoilers for that
figured.
one.
But it's yeah, no, it's they had to modernize it because it's definitely like a mid '70s film.
Yeah.
It's the same guy that did like Four Flies on Grey Velvet and what's his name?
I can't remember. I just remember that the Goblins did his music for it, and it's really fucking good.
But no, I want to touch on that. Say that you do see dolls used as voodoo dolls or like curse dolls used a lot, and like you can eat like it even goes into video games. Like one video game in particular, like Twisted Metal Black. Like there's a story of a character in there who she's well, they don't make it clear, but they kind of suggest that she's Wiccan. she's a goth character, but they kind of just suggest it.
Yeah, gosh.
But when you get to the end of the game, and you get to the end of her story, she uses like dolls to get revenge on the bullies who killed her best friend. And so like you see dolls used like that a lot in horror movies, and like you don't see it as much as modern day stuff. But do you think that effigies,
the
figgy puddings, should have more of like a positive view to them, or is it always just kind of been like negative?
Positive necessarily. I just think overall, when people make movies, they should be. And I know sometimes like the whole story is not realistic,
right?
But I feel like I wish like they would paint witches in general in a better light, and like the pagan community and Wiccan, because.
Well,
especially seeing as how most of our holidays are based off of pagan
celebrations.
Well,
and so even like, so I guess a good way to compare is because I'm Native, and I know in Native traditions, you know, people in Native cultures, people get mad because of there isn't a lot of research done when stories are brought in from Native cultures, and like symbols, and so like totem poles, you know, the circle and Dreamcatcher, stuff like that. And so I can get what you're saying by like paint it in a better light for like
more
Wiccans.
Accurate light.
Yeah, more accurate, because like I can always think of like so many like Native stereotypes where it's like, oh, he can listen to, you know, where animals have ran off to by putting his ear to the ground. Or like, oh, totem poles are for decoration. Like you see that a lot in like media, maybe not as much these days, but I get where you're coming from is what I'm saying.
And like there's a lot of like idols used, obviously, you know, like I have tons of statues of goddesses and fairies and stuff, so those aren't necessarily dolls,
right?
But like I don't use them for like.
So do you think that's offensive, like if you see an effigy or a doll like hanged up like on a person's what is it, I feel like such a name, rearview mirror on their car?
I don't think so.
So, like, okay, when they, like, just keep it there as, like, a decoration, like, you know, okay.
No, I mean, a doll's a doll.
Doll's a doll. That.
And, like,
doll.
Idols or, like, statues are statues. I mean, obviously, if you use them in any sort of ritualistic fashion, we're treating them with respect. But...
What do you think, Cody?
What?
Are you still stuck on how I pronounce effigies wrong?
No, I was just kind of caught up in the story. Like in the moment.
I was going to get your input on what do you think about, like, do you feel like dolls were just given kind of like a wrong like view through media, that they're always something evil, or?
Well, yeah, I don't know. Okay, so like I always got creeped out by dolls anyways. I think it's just the fact, like, for me, like when it comes to dolls and stuff, it's just the fact that like they're so detailed, it's eerie.
Yeah.
Like, especially, like, baby dolls.
Like the porcelain dolls.
Yeah. The ones with the
Not
eyes
even
that
the porcelain
move
doll.
as you move
Yeah,
the doll.
or, like, the ones that, like, actually cry.
Or
there's some
poop their
ones.
pants.
Yeah, the ones that actually poop their pants. You actually have to feed it. It'll cry randomly.
I will punch
like,
that doll.
Yeah, no, shit like that always, like, it just weirded me out and stuff. So, like,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't think they're still so popular. I don't think there is really a negative limelight that media can do for dolls until they're like, this doll will kill your child if they touch it, and then it's like, I'm still gonna buy it. So I don't know, just because like with voodoo dolls, because like that, none of that stuff actually creeped me out or whatever. It was always just like the actual dolls. Because like voodoo dolls, I'm like, it looks like a little burlap sack. Why the fuck should I be afraid of that? Then they break its arm, some dude's arm get broken. I'm like, coincidence.
Do you have something kind of interesting to add? I don't know if we're talking about haunted dolls yet.
Yeah, we were talking about all the. You know, we're even talking.
So,
I was actually the next section we're going to jump into is about haunted dolls.
Well, here's a little pre-haunted doll talk.
Okay,
just the tip.
Just the tip.
Just the tip before we just ram it right in.
And to keep it in line with every other time I'm on here, Zach Bagans.
Baggins.
For the Holy Trinity!
Whether you guys like him or not, or people out there like him.
Because of you, I've begun to like him more, just because, like, Now, whenever I see like a promo of him running through a field, I'm just like, he just needs like a little like turret and just like a sword, and he needs a taller dude running behind him. Like,
he also needs me to sit on his face.
You can only pick one. It's either Eminem this time or Zach Baggins.
Oh, Zach Bagans, of course. He will always be first.
Baggins.
Baggins.
But his haunted museum in Las Vegas, the freaking coolest thing I've ever fucking seen. He's got Peggy the Haunted Doll.
Okay.
Which is rumored to actually have killed people. Like, not like Chucky style where it comes to life, but people that, like, you have to sign a waiver to, like, look at this doll. And
I've always kind of, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but
you're
I was
fine.
just going to say, I always kind of wonder if, like, things like that, the waiver, aren't as legit as it's more just to add to the experience.
And it might be, but it's fun. But people, a couple people have died after actually, like, looking at her. Which could always be coincidence, but...
That reminds me of... I think it's Billy the doll. I know, like, the Saw puppet's named Billy, but I think that, like, there's another haunted doll that, it wasn't, like, Annabelle. It was, like...
Robert.
Was it Robert?
Yeah,
okay,
Robert.
that has, like, people have actually looked at or touched and have died, like, very recently afterwards.
Like, drop dead. Like, literally drop dead.
And so that's a perfect segue, because Robert is a doll on display at the East Martello Museum in Key West, Florida, that was once owned by Key West painter and author Robert Eugene Otto. The doll is alleged to be possessed by spirits and was the inspiration for Chucky, the doll in the 1998 horror film Child's Play. And then when we go on to... probably one of the more notable ones these days is Annabelle, which is a Raggedy Ann doll alleged by Ed and Lorraine Warren to be haunted and displayed in the Warren's Occult Museum in Monroe, Connecticut. The doll served as inspiration for the films Conjuring and Annabelle.
That's right. Annabelle's not a porcelain freak show like she is in the movies.
I mean,
it's
she's
just
like
Raggedy
Raggedy
Ann.
Ann.
I get why they didn't do it as
Well,
Raggedy Ann, but,
licensing.
licensing and
Copyright.
also it's hard to look at Raggedy Ann and be like, terror!
The only thing that bugs me about that is, like, it was the inspiration for The Conjuring when it wasn't. She was just a part.
Again, to be fair, I got this from
small
Wikipedia,
part.
so...
I know, but it's just like, that's the one thing that, like, that's what bugs me the most about The Conjuring, though, is everyone took the Annabelle part, like...
Yeah.
Way over the top, like even the trailers for it, and I was like, she was there for like 2 seconds.
Like where is
like fucking the doll in Dead Silence, like he wasn't a part of it much, but he at least had a bigger part than just in a chair, like looking to the left. So,
which Annabelle was horrible. I'm waiting for them to make a movie about Peggy though, because that doll is seriously haunted as shit.
I mean, it'll probably come soon.
Like we went in.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about.
And the spirit, like he had a spirit box going. He wasn't there himself, but things actually were coming through the spirit box, like answering our questions.
In reality, it's just creepy. Some dude behind a curtain, like, you're a bitch.
No, like we had the spirit box. It was coming like out of the spirit box, and it felt real. Like I felt like heavy, just like walking into that room. Like there was something really fucked up about that doll.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure they'll make a movie about it once the new Child's Play remake flops.
Right.
And they're like, no, we need to throw a real doll because the Child's Play TV show is going to be so much better.
These real dolls look that creepy.
Really, all they're going to do is probably just get like Nick Swartzen and put like doll makeup on him. And,
like... Oh my god, I fucking love him.
Fucking Chucky.
Well, and then there was even Lita the Doll, which Kerry Walton of Brisbane, Australia, has appeared on a number of television programs with the doll he claims to have found while visiting an abandoned building in 1972. According to Walton, he named the doll Letta Me Out because of its supposedly supernatural characteristics.
Letta Me Out.
Yeah, because it's Letta the doll.
He's a funny one.
He's got them.
Well, what's really kind of like a letdown is when I went into Wikipedia to look up these dolls, like they didn't have too much info on all of them. Like, and there's more because there's Voodoo Zombie Doll, Poopa or Puppa. I know,
what is with you? Stickies and Poopa.
Mandy and Paula Ubin Barbie.
Pull out.
P-U-L-A-U.
And I'm just thinking, just pull out
Barbie doll.
Letting me out and pull out.
And so like they don't have too much info on all the dolls, but it's notable worth mentioning these dolls because it's obviously a very weird trend in our society in the history of mankind that there's been dolls as like uses of like supernatural torture and like revenge and just things that scare the living shit out of you.
And some of these dolls, Peggy the doll looks like someone that would go into Target and complain to a manager. Like, just Google Peggy the doll, guys. Like, it's like a frickin' Becky or a Susan.
A
for
Becky.
A Becky.
Oh, man.
But do you guys think that, just from like a paranormal aspect, do you think a demon or a spirit can attach to a doll? Or do you think that's all Hollywood?
I think there's varying levels of degrees to it. I'd be more willing to debate the intense supernatural hauntings behind Annabelle.
Yeah.
Just because
The Warrens are shady.
Yeah, the Warrens have a very checkered past. But I think when it comes to inanimate objects, like how, there's been cases of like toasters and like lamps that have been haunted.
It's true.
I think it's possible for these things to be haunted too. Because let's take it back to like Native American culture. You can actually run into some very serious supernatural stuff if you have something that's not been properly blessed or something attached to it that doesn't belong to you. Mm-hmm. So I know this because it's happened to me when some time back I was given I think it was like a spirit stick. I can't remember, from an old acquaintance of mine, and she gave it to me, and it wasn't like properly blessed, but she found it from the stick from a Native American burial ground, and weird stuff started happening around my room, and like I could actually feel presences staring at me, and I even had someone come over who was like a very justified medium, and she noticed that something was around, and it was just angry. And
That's interesting.
It stayed in my backyard apparently, but it was just angry. And then I had another friend of mine who's also a native, and he helped me properly get rid of it, the stick. And after that, the spirit just left. So I do think like dolls can host something, but I would argue that maybe not to the full extent that Annabelle does. Because I guess I just think it's kind of weird for a demon to choose a doll over a person, like, can you imagine Beelzebub picking up a Barbie?
Yes, actually. So like I don't think they can actually possess the doll. I think they kind of just
attach to it.
Yeah,
they attach to it in a sense, like they're linked to it in some way,
right.
Because dolls are usually associated with children, and children have the innocence and everything, so it's easier to get to an uncorrupted soul. Like, demons we usually want to corrupt the soul and everything.
So like a window.
Yeah, trusting. Like, I mean, this is also going off of, like, look at all the Chucky movies. He's always going after a kid.
Andy.
Andy, and then later on, like in the newer ones, which I'll get to next episode. He goes after little kids, and then same with like the Annabelle doll. Like, it was all about this little girl and stuff like that, because I think it's an easier way to get to an uncorrupted person to corrupt them. So because I think that's one reason, like harping all the way back to our children episode. Yeah. Like, because it's the corruption of innocence. Using a doll, you automatically associate like, oh, baby doll, little girl, or oh, action figure, little boy, type thing. Yes, I'm gender stereotyping because that's how it goes for me right now. But little girls can play with action figures too. I know.
I know. Oh,
whatever.
Good thing you said that, because I can already hear so many.
I know.
Women who just.
Anyways,
Eryn is livid.
I can see that. Get out. Just get the.
I never played with action
Transformers. Okay, you can have a Transformer.
But they're not fun. Barbies were way more fun.
We're gonna have to end this podcast.
But I'm getting
Transformers are fucking shit. Okay, when you have a T-Rex that turns into a robot with a jetpack, how can you look at that and say that's not cooler than a goddamn Barbie?
Because Barbie had matching accessories.
He had a matching gun.
His tail turned into the gun.
I'm just saying.
Okay. But anyways, what I was getting at, like, I think more along the lines, like, it's easier to see dolls as creepy, or a demon would attach itself to or link itself to it because it has a way to get to a kid.
Or just a spirit. I mean, have y'all seen Island of the Dolls?
Yeah.
That island in Mexico?
That's actually another thing we're
going to talk about.
Yeah.
But, like, But yeah, that's my kind of thing. I think it's more of a link to the inanimate object, to the doll, because it has a chance to get to a kid, or a innocence. Because even when you think about it, if it's like an adult person who has the doll, more than likely it's from a childhood memory or anything or something like that, or they're gifted something that's like it, and it has the demon possessed. That person more than likely has broken spirit.
Yeah.
Because that's 9 times out of 10 we see that in the movies. Like the female, because it's always a female character that's attached to the doll when it's adults, but it's a little boy.
It probably goes with the whole vulnerability aspect.
Like she's vulnerable to that specific doll because it's something from her childhood, reminder of a childhood trauma that doll got her through or something like that. And so she has a hurt soul, or she's very weak, and so the demon's like, ha-ha! Gotcha, bitch.
I would even go on to say that's like a good point to like why it makes us so scared of evil dolls and like our childhood toys, because it's like we've all had a toy that when we were younger we attached to when we went to bed, you know.
I still have mine in my car at this moment, so I can cry on him later.
Right, but wouldn't it be absolutely terrifying if that doll just got possessed and wanted to kill you? Like, you keep it so close to you all your life, and then all of a sudden just, like, I can see why that's a good vulnerable spot for, like, horror movie creators to, like, pick on and be like, oh, like, you know, he loves his Transformers. What if that actually became something that wants to kill him?
God, like the clown in Poltergeist. That fucked me.
Exactly. That's a good example.
And he's just not on the chair, and you're like, oh, no, don't look under the bed.
Well, although...
Gets you with 2 things. A clown and a possessed doll.
Yeah, that's like a double fuck.
Although I will say, in Scary Movie, it was pretty funny when he got it rammed up his ass.
Yeah. Okay, I laughed more when the dick actually came out from under the bed and wrapped its around the clown's neck.
Oh, I forgot about that.
He's like, hey, what are you doing? Do you want to play a game? Da-da-da-da-da. Do it!
But Eryn, same question to you that you just brought up. What do you think?
Oh, I definitely think items can get possessed. Or not, I didn't say possessed. They can get attachments.
Attached, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, honest to God, if I got hit by a bus today, if I was going to attach to anything, I'd be all over my cuddly dog.
Yo, what about the bus itself?
Well, fuck the bus.
I
I'd
feel
be
like
like, where's Cuddly?
Get out of my way, I can make cuddly.
I don't know, I was opening that for a joke, and I honestly had no, like, traction for that. I should have done that.
What about the bus? Only until the bus driver's dead.
Right. And then you could be like the new bus driver and be like, she hasn't been on this bus in 80 years.
No, but I truly believe
He hasn't worked here in 20 years.
Lots of things. And not even just dolls. I mean, it could be a cigar box or it could be whatever. But I think dolls are, out of everything, the creepiest just because they do have eyes and they do have a face and an expression. And like, especially the dolls that you were saying, like no matter where you're like go in the room, where their eyes are, it just looks like they're always looking.
Or like paintings.
Well, even if we take it back to like when you and Mackie were on here and we were talking about like paranormal groups and like the Warrens and like and you even like talked about your frustration about people who just like see orbs in photographs.
Yeah.
And will assume that's a ghost and how like, you know, movies have really excited it. That goes back to like The Conjuring and Annabelle with like there's always been a demon attached to something in there, and to where I would expect more to see things get thrown off a counter or misplaced, but not like
full on Annabelle
fire.
Which Annabelle's a horrible fucking movie.
I will agree with you on that.
I love The Conjuring, but I hate
I
Annabelle.
will say the thing what lost me in Annabelle was the scene where the doll is being lifted up in the midair and you see the demon come from the side, and it's supposed to come off creepy, but more so because of like, hey there.
How you doing tonight?
I felt it was really preachy. Like, I felt like I was like getting preached to in that movie. It was too religious. It was like...
Well, and not even that. I make the argument that it plagiarizes a lot from Insidious. Because there's just a lot of scenes in Annabelle.
I've never seen Annabelle, but that's all I've heard is like, it's Insidious, but a doll instead of a boy.
Right, and maybe it's a stretch for me to say it plagiarizes, but still, like, there's a lot of shots in that movie that are just like straight from Insidious that you can tell.
But did James Wan do both of them?
Wan.
I always say it wrong.
I think he did. I'm pretty sure he did do Annabelle, but I don't know if he did.
So he plagiarized himself.
But and like I get it, like the director.
He knew it works.
Yeah, but it's. When you pay attention to enough of it and you're enthralled as in horror as we are, it's hard not to notice the similarities. And once you notice the similarities, for me, it kind of takes me out of it because I'm just like, then I know what's going to happen next.
Did you see Creation? Annabelle Creation?
No, not yet. I've wanted to see it because I did hear it was better than the first one.
I heard that too. And it's like once you see the first one, it's like, all right, I'm already in. Like, I'll just see it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. Annabelle has some really great moments that are really intense, but... they're so far and few between that it's good. If it came on Netflix, I'd watch it, but I probably wouldn't pay to own it.
No, James Wan didn't do it.
Oh, well then...
Plagiarism!
So then it makes sense. So, never mind then. But still, like, it just because I guess the one scene that really sticks out to me is so you remember in Insidious near the end where the Darth Maul demon is like,
lipstick demon,
and he comes out.
yeah, and he's chasing the kid all over like the roof and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Literal same thing in Annabelle happens.
Like the elevator opens or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and like she has, like that scene's actually pretty intense. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty good, but what follows afterwards is just kind of
Yeah.
So yeah, moving on forward then in this case. Excuse me. Some experts believe that dolls scare people because they look human but aren't quite human. Another way to put it is that the mysterious and uncanny looks of a doll upsets us because we can't really pinpoint where it's coming from, if that makes sense.
No, I pinpoint
It
it
watches
pretty well.
me. It watches me doing everything. I can't even look and go, this is for you.
Well, it's kind of
It
like
still watches
like,
with a smile.
I know you came from Hasbro. Shut the fuck
Yeah,
up.
my Tiffany doll sits right, and I never thought about this, but I probably shouldn't say this. Never mind.
No, say it. Say it.
As long as it doesn't compromise yours or your privacy or someone else's.
My privacy kind of. No, she sits at like the dresser on the end of my bed.
Right.
Because I've got Tiffany and Chucky and Freddie.
Right.
And they watch me while I lay in bed.
I'm sure they're there to protect you.
Everything.
Doing anything and everything.
Chucky's just having a three-way.
Get in there, DJ Diddles.
Sometimes I scare myself.
So now I'm going to think about my dolls watching me next time.
I had an ex who like collected porcelain dolls.
Oh my
fuck
god,
those
I did
things.
too.
Don't
So, okay.
worry,
so
she
you
was a monster.
Good thing they're exes, guys.
Yeah, so it used to freak me out so much too. Like whenever like I'd go over because it was back in high school, so we'd actually do homework, quote unquote, together. There's always shut up. Yeah, she had these porcelain dolls. She had like I think it was like 15 of them sitting on her dresser, all different sizes, and they just sit there with the smile and like this. And they're all like. Half of them were like baby porcelain dolls and the little girl porcelain dolls.
I have those. My mom has those in her room.
And I got her one that was like a special one from the Titanic. It was like a replica of one of the dolls that was like found perfectly fine from the Titanic thing. And so like every time, just like when I would actually try and do homework, I'd look over and go, God damn it, what the fuck is? Just stop looking at me.
Have you tried having sex with the chick in a room like that? Like, oh my god.
Yes, that's what we would do most of the
time.
time.
I
thought you were a virgin.
Quote unquote.
Cody.
Jesus.
I'm a virgin.
You're a virgin and I'm Jesus.
You're a virgin and I'm not white. I can't say another thing because then it's like, that's intolerant.
It just sacrifice everything. Colin Kaepernick, blah, blah.
Yeah, basically.
I just hate him anyway. It has nothing to do with what he did, but he just sucks.
Yeah,
he wasn't a good quarterback.
No,
that's the funny thing. Yeah. He was okay.
His I will say this, his like social commentary about like injustice towards the African American community, he had a good strong stand on it, and then he came out with those fucking socks and he totally shot his whole message in the foot. Like
socks?
Yeah, so I guess he wore socks that like had like pigs on it, that like had like a cop hat on it, and so he generalized all cops when his whole message was for
unity.
For unity, and so the black community wouldn't be generalized.
Yeah.
So this in which this social movement is not one where you fight fire with fire.
Yeah.
So,
Haunted dolls.
It's haunted dolls. Yeah. Sorry.
I'm just saying. I mean, I don't even like Nike stuff, anyways.
I was more upset about the child sweatshops.
Right?
Yes.
I don't give a shit about the advertising.
We would have touched on that, but you're just like, no, that's okay, whatever.
No, I mean, this entire thing, my two favorite memes that came out of the Nike thing was the Freddy one, where it's like, dreams, I'll get you, bitch. Instead of just do it, it's like, get you, bitch. And then it shows Ray Liotta from Goodfellas laughing, and it's like, all these bitches buying Nike shit and burning them. They don't care, they got your money.
Yeah. Anyway, so, coming back to this.
Yeah. Our one political statement.
So
I try and not do anyways.
I know, right? But I would say that because we can't really pinpoint like the origin of dolls, kind of like the same reason why we talked about with like why kids are terrifying, because they haven't really been their moral code hasn't been tainted yet, corrupted.
Well, they're all little sociopaths.
And I feel like dolls kind of go in a similar route with that, because like we just talked about like how evil beings will attach themselves to and evil beings will attach themselves to a kid, and so we normally see dolls that are attached by evil beings. Like the very few ones that we can say that aren't are like Toy Story and the Good Guys and Small Soldiers, you know.
I haven't seen Bad Guys.
I haven't seen any of those.
You haven't seen Toy Story?
I think I might have seen it when I was little, but
How have you not seen
I don't
Toy
watch Pixar.
Story?
I hate Pixar.
Why do you hate Pixar?
Because it's not real
Why do you
Disney.
hate happiness?
It's a... Hold on, wait. You said you don't like Disney?
No, it's not real Disney.
Oh, it's not real Disney. Because I was going to say, there was a few episodes back where we dissed on Disney and you got upset that we dissed
I
on
love
Disney.
Disney. I just Pixar's shit.
I think Pixar is more Disney than Disney.
I think they're
will
both.
fight you.
I think they're both kind of awful, but that's just me.
You like Coco?
Yeah, because that's like one of the few.
I'm just saying. You
That's
can't say it's
so
awful.
white.
Yeah, but like 1 out of 10 doesn't make you a good person. That's all I'm
If
saying.
you do one nice thing, you're not a good person.
I'm just like, if Hitler came back and ran a charity, we would still see him as Hitler.
Okay, if he ran a charity, it definitely would only be for blonde-haired white people, blue-eyed white people. Like, come to my charity. Are you Jewish?
Go to this charity.
Yeah, go to the one in the.
In other words, the Church of Scientology.
Yeah,
But bam! I'm just kidding.
They're a bunch of dolls.
To any of our listeners
Yeah,
out there who are Scientologists, I
fuck you. No, see, you know why I say fuck you to all that shit?
Okay, no, we gotta focus on the episode.
I'm just saying, okay, I'm just saying, my grandma was a high priestess in the Church of Scientology.
Okay.
And she left me and my brother $250,000 each.
Okay.
But we could only use it through the church.
Okay.
And it's all fucking scam because it's like $10,000 just to get accepted into anything, and the only way you actually go higher up in the church is by paying more money.
And then getting a haunted doll.
Exactly.
Yes.
Thank you.
And then when you get to the very top, you get Gazorpazorp.
The haunted doll.
Yes.
So, as we talk about haunted dolls and get trailed off every time,
Bullshit does not ever be better.
just let it go.
No. Fucking church.
For right now, we can talk about it afterwards. Okay. So, obviously, you know, dolls have been very terrifying, have been very apparent through our culture. So much to the point that there's actually an island known as the Island of the Dolls, where travelers will flock to see dilapidated old dolls strung up on trees to appease the spirit of a local girl who had drowned some time back.
It's on an episode of Ghost Adventures.
The man who had originally started this project has come to believe that the dolls are in fact possessed. So,
Aren't you allowed to, like, put your own doll there if you want?
Yeah, I think
I was
you
gonna
are.
say
You can leave like a...
Mm-hmm.
Not
and the island is huge.
It's a not a donation.
It's a offering.
Yeah. That.
Yeah. Like it's huge. The island is huge, and it makes me think of like the Island of Snakes, who are just like there's snakes out of every corner, and in this case, it's dolls out of every corner, and. I mean, I think what we can. I am trying not to like support this. I'm just trying to focus here. Like,
Badger,
oh my
badger,
god,
badger, mushroom.
The dolls in the episode of Ghost Adventures, though, like they do catch some crazy stuff. Like the dolls, because some of them, you know how when you squeeze them, they'll cry or they'll make noises, or
They do.
Like,
they
they were started to do it on their own.
Well, so I mean, okay, so. I'm trying to think of like the question I want to ask for the island, but before we get to that, I'll ask my previous question. So, Eryn, why do dolls generally creep you out? So we've talked about like why we think they are, and you know the movies that come behind them and the evil things that can attach to them. But for you, and we'll go around the table obviously and ask the same question to all of us. Why do you think dolls creep you out?
Honestly, dolls don't creep me out that much. Like I said, I've got tons of Disney dolls, like Disney princess dolls, and like I have a little life-size Tiffany in my room, and I don't mind them. I think the only time they're creepy is like it's mostly the porcelain ones, or like in those like the glass ones, because like I have a bunch of those that we used to have in our house, and now that we live in an apartment and my mom still really likes them, I'm like, we can keep them, but they're staying in your bedroom. And I don't really know what the difference is between my Tiffany doll watching me and the porcelain doll watching me, but one creeps me out more than the other.
I get. You could probably argue that the reason the porcelains do is that they look more close to human features than like your Tiff doll.
Yeah, Tiffany's like fun and like funny in the movies, and
yeah, I was gonna say, well, I think with Tiffany is like you know where she comes from and you can associate her with that, and over like a porcelain doll, you don't really know where it comes from.
That's true. And the history.
Yeah, because like my mom has a couple porcelain dolls and stuff like that, and they're from like Goodwill and shit like that.
Oh yeah, nope.
You know,
nope.
Stuff like that. Like they're not because you can't really go to like a toy store and find porcelain doll. It's usually something not made from that because it's going to be for a little kid, and the little kid's smashing on the table and cut themselves.
See, like all the Goodwill stuff. Like I got Tiffany from Spencer's, probably right out of the factory. You get a porcelain doll from Goodwill, and that could have
yeah exactly.
Who knows what history is attached to it.
I think that could also like play into it because you never really know where a porcelain doll comes from.
Yeah.
So.
Anyways, Cody, same question to you. Why, or did you already answer it?
I mean, I kind of answered it earlier, but it's just the fact that, like, for me, dolls always freak me out. Is just because, like, it always looks like it's watching you, and it has the human characteristics and stuff like that, and so like it looks like a tiny human, and you're like, oh hi, tiny human. You're not real.
It sounds like you're more so going to like the place of like when someone is just staring at you, it makes you feel vulnerable.
It makes me feel uncomfortable and stuff like that, and so like that's kind of one of my issues with them. And also just I don't know, I think it's because like I played with action figures like all the time when I was a kid, and even like I had the wrestling figures, but like there's still something off from them, like even though they're supposed to be made to look like the wrestler, like there was always something a little cartoony about it. But when it comes to porcelain dolls, I think it's the fact that they're not super cartoony. Yeah, because they're like supposed to be made like look like a little girl or a little boy and stuff like that. And so I'm just kind of like, ugh.
Well, I mean, there was even like a story, like I can't remember where it was, but it actually did happen where like dolls started to appear on like people's porches that resembled a little girl that resided within those homes, and it actually came from like it was an elderly woman who was doing it, and she meant it like as a kind gesture, but it freaked everyone out instead.
Yeah, it freaked me out too. I was like, what the why does this look like me?
The poor old lady. Oh, that makes you. She's like, I'm doing this nice thing.
She's like, look, it looks just like you. Get out of here, Gladys.
Oh, my children don't love me. Don't come around. Maybe these children don't like me. Nope, everyone hates me.
It is kind of weird. You think you'd at least like ring the doorbell and be like, hey, I made this for your daughter, not just like.
But at the same time. Okay, but that would still even be great. I made this for your daughter. It's her. It's like
that would also be kind of weird.
If it was like a little lonely old lady, I'd be like, oh.
Okay, going back to witches, that's what the people who don't research that would think. Like, she's a witch. This old bat.
Yeah, like, this doll's cursed. It's gonna bring a demon into our house.
Like, oh, you made this to replace our daughter.
You have me interested. So let's hear what you propose. Can like reprogram her to do like?
Will she actually clean her room? Pick up her toys.
Oh man. I think
Lauren, we all love Eryn.
We love both Eryns.
Aww. What?
I didn't sign up for that.
I guess for me, it goes along with what I've just been like what we've been talking about, but more so that I think that because they look too much like humans. Yeah. Like too much like human features, and it's unsettling because when it's so detailed like that, you kind of like expect it to move and to do something and to actually like jump up. It's kind of like the same thing like when you walk past a street performer, like guys that dress up like robots. You generally can't tell like when it is a street performer or not, and when they do actually move, like it freaks you out, and so you expect that out of
Sand!
So kind of the same thing with dolls is that they look so real that you think they're actually going to come alive. Obviously, they like, don't. But
when you think out of the corner of your eye, you think you see it like wave at, and you're like, no.
If you stare at it long enough, sometimes it's like, did it move? Mm-hmm. It's like where when you look in a dark corner for a long time, you start to see like
a figure
or something. Yeah,
it's when like your head starts to get the best of you and you actually imagine it. And so when like your like mom does actually move it, you think it moved on its own.
See, all I'm saying is if like there was a porcelain doll and it blinked, smash the face immediately. That's all I do. Just no.
Speaking of haunted dolls, I think there's no official word yet, but I think next month my Netflix show will be on.
Yay!
You can hear about my haunted dolls.
We can watch it and go, I know her!
This bitch crazy!
She poops on cars!
One time. I'm not saying I wouldn't do it. That's what I always offer people. And like my friends get hurt, I'm like, Just buy me Taco Bell. Let's get this bitch.
I'll remember that. I'll shoot you a text. And I'll just, like, drop it by your door.
I should start a business like Cartman does in South Park.
I will shit on cars for you.
Just buy me Taco Bell and give me $20.
Poops and Sons.
The Poop Witch.
The poop witch.
The pitch. I'm one big mean pitch.
And I'll leave one on your car, too.
Oh,
I feel
God.
gross now.
Well, and then, like, I always think there's kind of, like, a line, though, that separates, like, porcelain evil dolls from, like, voodoo dolls. And, like, you know, the form voodoo doll, and, like, this is just from Wikipedia. In European history, the form of the voodoo doll, as it is most commonly understood, is based on magical practice that historically derived from Europe rather than Africa or the Americans. Or Americas, sorry. Textual records attest to the fact that the certain cunning folk in Britain made dolls out of made dolls out of a witch out of rags and other materials and then pierced them with pens with the intention of inflicting physical harm on the witch and breaking their bewitchment. I mean, that's an entire episode in itself, like, the mistreatment of, like, the Wiccan religion and pagan religion way back in old Europe.
Well, and don't quote me on this, because like I said, I'm not really into voodoo, but I'm good, like, 90% sure that that's definitely African culture. I'm not saying that they didn't have a voodoo type doll, but that's a little misleading, I think.
I would say it's more in, what is it? It's, like, not New Orleans culture, but
there's
Cajun.
a lot of center.
Thank you, Cajun culture. Like,
yeah, because when you think voodoo, you think I don't know. It's just like for me when I think of voodoo, like I do think of New Orleans and Cajun.
Yeah.
You know, the Cajun rituals and stuff like that. Because like when I think voodoo, I never think of like breaking up bewitchment. I think of like you need like something that's close to the person you're making the voodoo doll of, because you're not because like voodoo doll is just basically Sackboy from Little Big Planet, but they have a piece of clothing, hair, something that the person holds dear to them,
right?
And that's how you inflict the pain, is because it has something attachment, so the doll can attach to the person, stuff like that. So like I don't know, that's kind of,
I mean, again, this is Wikipedia. So
it is Wikipedia.
Take it as it comes. If someone wants to correct us on this and give us the right
please
origin,
do. I haven't done a lot of research.
Send it into our email, punkrockhorrorpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah.
But it's because when I think of if a voodoo doll is coming from African culture, I'd have to think of like witch doctor, and then there just seems to be a line separating like voodoo dolls and like the Chucky doll. Which, I mean, Chucky is probably the most synonymous with evil dolls.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's others that, they make that case too, like Puppet Master or Demonic Toys.
Well, it's funny with Chucky, like, just talking about voodoo dolls, because he uses a voodoo curse to transfer his soul.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but I don't know if, like...
the power I beg.
Did he ever say the origin of it? Did he say it was, like, Cajun or African or, like, a witch doctor? Or...
Yeah, he does in the first one, because he goes and kills the black guy. Okay. Who taught him the curse. So maybe because Chucky made a voodoo doll of him. Yeah. And that's how he kills him.
Huh. Okay, so maybe his was from African culture, and so if that's
and I'm sure there's different, like, it's like pagan religions, and Christian religions, there's all sorts of different, like...
Yeah, it seems like we're all kind of just, like, low-key disagreeing that it's from, like, America and
Britain. Well, I mean, like, the American thing, like, I think the reason why I think people think about that is because you think of Salem.
Yeah.
The witch hunts and stuff like that. And so, like, people probably think of, like, that's where the voodoo culture came from, is from the witch hunts from Salem. Yeah. Basically.
We should do an episode about that. We should do an episode.
Oh, can I be on that one?
Yes.
No! Yeah. That's fine. Yeah.
We should definitely talk about that. I just adding into, like, the mistreatment of, like, the pagan religion and just the Salem trials. Like, Kimberly Freeman, lead singer of One Eye Doll.
I love her so much.
I know, isn't she great?
Oh my god, yeah.
She actually came out with an album dedicated to talking about, like, the mistreatment of witches and the religion. It was one of the One Eye Doll's most recent albums, and I can't think of it off the top of my head, unfortunately.
Don't ask me.
But it's really good, and she's a spectacular person. I still hope her and Junior will come on this podcast one day.
That'd be cool.
Please?
I know, right?
I know.
I sang on I danced on stage with you.
I do too.
Did she bring you up there and put you in the costume? Yeah.
She's actually probably one of the few artists that I've actually met in person that was like straight up nice because like
she was awesome.
I think it was her.
I feel so bad about your bachelor party.
No.
Okay, for his bachelor party, like I straight up contacted them to try and get us backstage tickets and everything, and like, but they didn't tour in Colorado around his bachelor party because like I was talking to them and everything, and they're like, yeah, just email us when it gets close to these dates, and I was like, that's not the same time. So we went and saw The Descendants instead.
But your effort meant a lot to me. That meant a lot to me. But yeah, when I talked to her, like I told her that my favorite album from her was the Monster album, and that song on there, Monster, actually like meant a lot to me with like my depression and the thoughts that plagued me in my head. And when I told her that, she told me, she's like, that's like half the reason why I wrote that song. And I was like, oh my heart.
Oh, it feels.
Oh God, right there. She's dope.
I got like none of this.
I'm willing to share the music with you.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Like, we can jam out to it.
No, that's fine.
And we can be the goth kids in the corner. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying that's what we can do. I feel like, though, we're kind of getting to the end of, like, this topic of evil dolls. And it's funny because it's like there's no kind of, like, very true origin of, like, where evil dolls really started. Because it's all just kind of, like, conceptualized and assumed where it's come from and from, you know, as far back as we can go. I mean, but
I think it's hard because it's different to like, because when you think about a possessed doll over a possessed human, like
right,
it's a lot easier to keep track of a human and stuff like that because you know with a doll there's more than likely many of that doll, so it's like which one was it?
Well, I think even going on to that, it's like when you think of possessed human, you take that more serious and want to like trace back how far that goes. But when you think possessed doll, more than likely you're going to think of Chucky, and you don't take it as serious.
Yeah, it's so possessed and
like,
then dead.
Right. I mean, what do you think, Eryn? Do you want to touch on it?
I mean, I'm kind of with you guys on that. I feel like, you know, dolls have been around for forever, really. And back then, you know, way back, countries didn't really have the global communication that we have now. So I think haunted dolls probably came from everywhere. There was probably different origins in Africa, different origins in Europe, and Native Americans, but I think the one thing that probably we can like, it comes from everywhere. I think every culture has some sort of lore or stories about a haunted doll or a haunted like toy or something.
In Russia, you don't put curse on doll, doll put curse on you.
In Russia, you don't have toys.
To all of our listeners
now get
in
back
Russia,
to vodka.
To all of our listeners in Russia, we're sorry if that joke offended you.
I love all of you,
It's just a
especially Tommy
joke.
Cash and Little Big. I'll sit on all your faces.
Whatever.
Keep
man.
saying
At this
this,
point,
you know,
at this point, it's whatever.
Zach Baggins, she's not even loyal to you.
I would
now.
sit on your face, Cody.
Thank you. I'd
That's
sit on your
hot.
face, man.
No, because you're not being complimentary to us.
You can't watch it.
I do squats. I keep this butt in tone. You're welcome.
I mean, I'm on my feet like 13 hours a day, so there you go.
Shame on you. Yeah, with that being said, we're like basically at the end of this because now we got like 2 minutes, so it's like a full hour. So
You know, you don't have to keep updating them where exactly we are. They can see the time.
I'm telling you.
I can see the time.
Well,
I
I
can't
don't
see
know.
the time. I
You're
don't have my
welcome.
glasses.
I'm just
Now
saying.
you're Shame on you, Cody.
For shame.
God. You know, there was probably a listener that was like, thank you. So fine, I'll just stop fucking doing it.
I'm just saying.
No, fuck me. Fuck me, my general good spirit.
Yes.
With that being said, thank you, listeners, for going to check out our website. That's been done, and a huge thank you to Anna again for fixing it up.
Thank you, Anna.
That website's absolutely beautiful, and it fits us perfectly. The Life of the Party event is still coming up October 13th at 3 p.m. If you want to get more details about it, please go to our website, www.punkrockhorrorpodcast.com. There's a page dedicated to the Life of the Party and the collab that we're going to be having with them. If you want to keep up with everything we're doing and, you know, get involved with us, please like us and follow us on Facebook, Punk Rock Horror Podcast, and our Twitter, @officialphp.
Our Instagram, Punk Rock Horror Podcast, and hashtag PRHP.
Correct.
I said PHRP last time.
Right.
I feel like a jackass.
You got it. Good job. I'm proud
I still
of you.
feel like a jackass.
Don't feel like a jackass. Don't feel like a jack. You brought up the good question of where guinea pigs come from, so.
This is true.
So-
And a quick Code 3 plug-in. We're having a really cool event.
Yeah, before we get to that, if you want to send us your, if you want to
sorry.
send,
I
no,
got
it's okay.
excited.
Totally okay. If you want to send us your band info and strange stories, please send them to our email, punkrockhorrorpodcast@gmail.com. You can listen to us on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube, our website, Stitcher, Player FM.
The website is really cool. I was on it the other day, and it's way easier to navigate now, and
Yes,
it looks
that's
like
good.
super
We
cool.
agree. Thank you.
Anna knows what she's doing.
She's a smart cookie.
Well, you did a great job, Anna.
So, and if you want to keep up with Eryn and everything that Code 3 Paranormal is doing, or even the Blue Room, Eryn,
Now
take
it's
it
my turn.
Now
I'm
you can plug it
like,
in.
no.
Where can people go, Eryn?
Facebook and Instagram, Code 3 Paranormal. We're doing an event October 26th at the Colorado Railroad Museum. It's basically like an interactive investigation where people can buy a ticket and investigate with us.
And the Colorado Railroad Museum is like a pinnacle of like Colorado, so it's a huge deal.
Mm-hmm. It's really cool. We had some pretty weird stuff happen there. So I'm hoping we'll get some cool action, and I know a lot of people have been like, I want to come with you guys one time, so here's y'all's chance. And in the Blue Room, we're going to be releasing our Kickstarter on Monday, September 10th.
Okay.
Nice.
So go check that out. I don't know the exact link yet, but I'm sure if you just put the Blue Room film.
Yeah, and if you send us a link, we'll include it.
Oh,
for you.
perfect.
Yeah.
So in this episode's notes and details below.
And follow the Blue Room film on Facebook because we're going to start doing screenings, and we'd love for you guys to come and see it. We're really excited. So.
Yeah.
And if you want to follow Eryn on Instagram, it's at Snow White Horror Princess.
Snow White.
You have to enunciate.
Snow
Snow.
White.
No. Snow
'Cause you
White
said Snow
Horror
White.
Princess.
What?
Because when you
I
say it
get
fast,
it.
it sounds like
That's
Horror Princess.
I get it. I sound like moron. Fine.
No, everybody thinks I sound like a whore princess.
No,
and
I
I
sound
am
like-
a whore. I know
Okay,
this,
I'm just
but
saying, you said Snow Right.
You may be a whore, but we're sluts.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm the slut.
Actually,
queen.
I'm a
Don't
sleut.
take this from us.
I'm taking it.
I'm a sleut.
Yeah, you be a slut. I'm a fucking slut.
But yes, if you want to follow Erin's proudly whore slutty ass on Instagram, it's at Snow White Horror Princess.
There we go.
So
Shake them titties.
that's probably the
just
only
fucking
time.
podcast over.
I just want to say that was probably the only time I was able to call a woman a whore and a slut and not get slapped for it.
I own it.
So
That was Cody.
Cody, how dare you?
I didn't want. I just, I just wanted you to feel like you weren't being left out with those things.
All right. Well, thank you again, ghouls and gals, for tuning in. And as always, podcast over.
Podcast over.
Bye.